Hey everyone, it's Rita. Juan is on assignment, so I am filling in for him. And as you can see, we are live at the mall. Well, as live as we can be during this time, right? But I'm not a big mall person, but I do have to say that I do love malls because they are prime A, awesome fun for watching people. Love that so much. And then the other reason that we're here at the mall, and this kind of fits into our lesson of love and hate on week 3, is that when you go into a mall, there's lots of different things that are at the mall that are side by side. Lots of different vibes going on in the mall with different brands. Now, maybe you've never thought about brands as having a vibe, but let me give you some examples. When we say vibes, maybe it's a reputation, maybe it's a personality. But let's think about the difference between Nike and Converse, right? So they both sell shoes, but obviously, there's a different feel when you go into the store. Another example I wanted to give you would be Urban Outfitters as compared to say H&M. So they all sell clothes, but the vibe, same products, but the vibe is different when you go in there, right? There's something just different about them. So here's what I think that's fascinating. Companies actually spend billions of dollars every year trying to control their brand reputations. The look, the smell, what they're known for. And those aren't accidents. If you think they are, they're really not. So they're carefully decided. So here's what I mean. So I'm going to read you something like a reputation out. Now I know you can scream. I may be able to hear some of you, but scream it out, think it in your head. But I'm going to read some of these off, and it'll be apparent for some of them. So first one, which brand is this? 2 day or less, lightning fast shipping. All right, you may not know that, but your parents would. It's Amazon. The second one, lowest prices. Always. Big Blue, Walmart. I'm not a Walmart girl. I'm a Red girl. I'm a Target girl. The best cell phones. Okay, yeah, I can hear you all chattering about best cell phones and going back and forth. But how about the best cell phone for people who aren't smart enough to build their own apps? That's me. That's me. It's Apple. It's Apple. What about free music streaming? Spotify? Yeah, that sounds familiar. And best chicken sandwich ever, right? Jesus Chicken, Chick-fil-A. Yes, some of you are saying no, you're disagreeing that it is actually Popeyes. Whatever, fight over it. That's fine. You can do that. So here's the point. Companies hire hundreds of people, spend billions of dollars trying to shape something that every one of us have. Most of us spend little time thinking about it. And that is our reputation. So our reputations are made up of all sorts of things and bring out all kinds of assumptions about who we are. Think about the various types of groups in your school, okay? And you've made assumptions about those groups. Assumptions like the people with TikTok clout are, AP honor students are, cheerleaders are, people who play sports are, the kids that are really into band, and the kids who vape are, right? So even though we don't say those out loud, or at least we shouldn't, we all tend to fill in the blanks about other people, to assume that we know what to expect from them now and what they're capable of and how they'll respond in any situation. In other words, how we fill in the blank now determines what we expect from them next. Whether we know the person or not doesn't matter. We know their reputation, or we build one for them in our minds, just based usually on a single action or a single experience. Let me tell you, it's not a teenager thing. It's a human thing, and we all do it. So I don't know, maybe you're thinking, where do these assumptions come from? Well, I think they come from a lot of places, but the following two stand out to me. One, our experiences. We have had experience with someone like them, right? What they did, what they said to us, and we use those experiences to prejudge those people. Insecurities is the second one. Sometimes our assumptions are formed from our insecurities. The person we're filling in the blank about has something we want or something we wish we had. For example, they have the starting position on the team. Their family has a great, big, beautiful house that we want. And it's something maybe we could never afford. And it's, quite frankly, annoying. We automatically assume the worst about them because they remind us about how far we feel from being the best. Our limited experiences and insecurities cause us to fill in the blanks and convince ourselves that we know way more about somebody than we really actually do, that we can literally predict their future. It's kind of illogical when you think about it. And it can be a problem if we really want to be known for love rather than hate. Because often, to be honest, we don't fill in the blank with something nice. The ironic part is that we hate it when people fill in the blanks about us. But how do we resist the temptation to do the same thing about others? Well, there's a moment from Jesus' life that may be able to help us. So Jesus was in the middle of this tense encounter with some of the religious leaders in Israel at the time. These are teachers of the law and Pharisees, and they were a big deal in the religious circles and had a brand of self-righteousness that they thought set them apart from everyone else. So when Jesus came around and started spending time with the people that the religious leaders kind of deemed as sinners or people that weren't as close to God as they were, things did get a little tense. So they actually started trying to catch Jesus off guard with questions they hoped would prove he wasn't real or prove that he was a phony. They wanted him to slip up and answer something in a way that it took away his credibility, that made him look bad. During one of these encounters, after some people had gathered to listen to Jesus speak and teach in the temple, the religious leaders caught a woman in an R-rated situation, we'll say. So they dragged her in front of Jesus to see how he would handle the punishment. And I think what unfolds here is that it shows us a different way to live instead of filling in the blanks about other people's reputations. So check this out. This is from John 8, 3-6. As he was speaking, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in front of the crowd. "Teacher," they said to Jesus, "this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say?" They were trying to trap him into saying something that they could use against him. So don't miss this point. The text says this woman had been caught in the act. She was literally committing adultery when the leaders found her. We can already assume that she was pretty humiliated, and the law demanded that the people literally pick up stones, throw them at her, and kill her. And so the religious leaders wanted to make Jesus choose in front of a crowd of people what he was going to do. And so was he going to overlook this woman's obvious sin and ignore the law of Moses, which would take away from Jesus's credibility and as a teacher and would anger the religious leaders? Or would he allow her to be stoned, causing the crowd to turn on him? It was a trap. The leaders knew it was a trap, and that was the point. So let's look at what happens next as we continue on in John. But Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. They kept demanding an answer. So he stood up again and said, "All right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." Then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, "Where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you?" "No, Lord," she said. And Jesus said, "Neither do I. Go and sin no more." That is a huge, epic mic drop right there. I'm not sure that we can fully understand the tension of this moment with not being there. These religious leaders who built their brand, their reputation, on appearing better than others and pointing out the sins of others are totally put in their place. Basically, Jesus is saying, you're quick to point out to what everyone else has gotten wrong, but what about you? Have you ever gotten anything wrong? Then one by one, those leaders realized that their plan backfired. Jesus kindly and lovingly releases the woman who is literally afraid for her life and tells her to go in freedom and live her life differently. I don't know. I can't imagine. It's just beyond my comprehension sometimes. But don't miss this point either. Everyone there was guilty of something, both the religious leaders and this woman. And Jesus had a message for both of them. What is possible for your future isn't determined by your past. Not if you're a Pharisee, not if you're the woman. Both are guilty and both are free to go. Both had a reputation for being one way, and both can choose to leave differently than they arrived. Jesus challenged the woman to change by saying, "Go and sin no more," because no matter her reputation, he believed that change was possible for her. It was such a Jesus move, right? He changed everything because he responded in love to everyone in the situation. And it's exactly what you and I should be about too. But isn't it true that sometimes we're more on brand with those religious leaders? Don't we often fill in the blanks about other people based on their behavior one time? Don't we tend to assume that we already know what will happen next in their story because of what happened before, or even what we think they may have done? But Jesus' approach to the situation in the story teaches us something different. The woman who had a brand, a reputation for being bad, who everyone judged based on this one thing she had done, saw her as more than just one thing. He believed something was possible in her future, no matter what her past was. He didn't write a story about who she was because of what she had been caught doing. He didn't fill in a blank for her, even though he knew everything about her. He saw her as a whole person. He saw her as being deserving of another chance. So, here's what we need to remember from this. Jesus proved that we are more than the assumptions or judgment others make about us. We're worthy of forgiveness, grace, and a second chance because of his love for us. And we can extend the same forgiveness, grace, and love to others. So, what if this was the approach that you and I started to take when forming our opinions of other people? What if instead of filling in the blanks with assumptions and judgments, we chose to believe anyone could radically change? What if we believed anyone could surprise us and be far better than we think they are? What if we chose to let love fill in the blanks? This would change a lot about the way we think about people and how we treat them, wouldn't it? Not only that, this would also change a lot about the way we think about ourselves too. We may wind up realizing we're not as terrible as other people say we are, or how they make us feel. We're not as perfect as we may think. There's something both encouraging and humbling about Jesus's approach. It puts all of us on the same level as people that God loves and that people that Jesus died for to forgive us and set us free. Not just the sum of our actions. In other words, when we fill in the blank with judgment or hate, we're only seeing a part of that person, their actions, whatever they did wrong or something we didn't like. But when we fill in the blanks with love, then that actually is, we're seeing other people as humans, more than what they have or haven't done, but as individuals, as people whose story isn't over, whose story isn't even written yet. So when the opportunities for assumptions and judgments start flying, take these steps to a new approach. 1, stop and think about how others have filled in the blanks for you. When you make an assumption about someone, about how they are or what they will do, stop. Stop and think about your own life. How have people underestimated you? How have they judged you? How have you experienced the other side of someone filling in the blank? Remember, Jesus' forgiveness brought you to a place where your life started to change for the better. Then treat other people the way Jesus has treated you, with grace and love, assuming their best days can be ahead of them. Step number 2, think about how you've wrongly filled in the blanks for someone else. Who is someone you think you know, but really don't? Who have you filled in the blanks for in a negative way without really learning the whole story about them? What if you choose to let love fill in the blank for someone that we think about now and what we expect them for the future? Okay, here's where it gets a little personal. Everybody does this. We all need to ease up on our assumptions and judgments. But when it comes to church and church people, getting this right is even more important. Maybe you tend to assume they don't belong here. I don't belong here. They'll never change. People like that or people like me always. But here's the thing, friends. Statements like those, as easy as they are to make, take the Christ out of Christianity. There's no Jesus in them. And so they should have no place here in us. Jesus made it so clear to that woman with the Pharisees and with nearly everyone that he met that love fills in the blank. And we never fill in the blank with hate. There's always hope for change. So when we choose to follow Jesus' example and take these steps, we're choosing to let love fill in the blanks instead of our quick or shallow assumptions and judgments about who they are now and who they can become. Just imagine with me, just think about this. What would happen if this is how we spent our time forming opinions of those around us? Instead of assumptions, stereotypes, and preconceived notions based on a part of a person, we would be people who believed everyone is worthy of love and has hope for a great future. If this is really what Jesus is about, doesn't it cause you to be a little bit more interested in his brand? We can be people who let love fill in the blanks about others. When we do this, we will be people known for our love of others, just like Jesus was and just like Jesus intended for his people to be. So guys, I know Juan says this, but I want to echo it to you too. We miss getting together with you guys. We miss seeing your faces. We miss playing games. We miss laughing with you. And we just hope and pray that this meets you where you are right now. And we care about you and we love you. We do. We love you. And so we can't wait to get back together with you guys. And just a reminder, we are having a great time Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 10 a.m. during our Proverbs study. We would love to see you on Zoom. If you need that information, just reach out to Juan, or you can reach out to me and we can give you that information. You guys, we love you. Have a great week.